So this is the playlist where I will be sharing, introducing little rare and little known foods and new kinds of recipes as part of the culinary well-being and pleasure revolution, which has some big solutions, larger solutions that are part of it, but some solutions that of the smaller ones, though still greatly important, are creating new jobs. In this case, one of the focuses is by sharing recipes which people would want to cook and eat, and plants that they want to cook and eat, then these new herbs are then of interest in the market, and I'm specifically picking things which are easy to grow, even in an urban apartment in a low light situation, and I will be having playlists showing how to do a garden completely for free, and challenging my Super Pioneer team to encourage people to waive the fees for starting a gardening business, with the idea being that rare edibles often go, a gardener can grow, or a small-time farmer can grow much less of them and get a lot more money for them. And yet, if I widely circulate this, they can be widely available and have that wonderful taste and or therapeutic benefits for more people. And if a lot of people are growing them, it can be more affordable, even if it's still at a higher price that an urban farmer could get. And there are a lot of people who are out of work that do have space in their apartment, even though I will be sharing things that can be grown in low light. There are people even with sunny windows, and there's people with unused front, back, and side yards, and quite a lot can be grown in a very small space, especially when you're doing rare herbs and stuff like that. So anyways, that was more of an introduction than I intended to put here, so what I'm going to be sharing in this, I will start with borage, which is in the photo on this video. And borage is more often, people are familiar with it as a dried herb, but it's really one of those herbs that's just completely, it's still pleasant, quite pleasant, more pleasant than a lot of other herbs dried, but it just is a whole other world fresh and so easy to grow. It's what I call a throw and grow herb. You can pretty much just throw the seeds and not do anything, and they'll grow profusely. They need very little water. They can be planted in the same pot as a succulent plant, or a borderline succulent cactus that doesn't need a lot of water, and they don't need a lot of light, and they're pretty disease resistant if you're not near a natural space that has lots of bugs and things like that, if you're in an urban environment. And even when they're exposed to some of the bugs that like them, they still tend to grow quite well, even with that. Obviously I'm someone who's into organic gardening and not messing with pesticides, but whatever. Anyway, so at the beginning of the pandemic, I circulated a recipe for borage sorbet, but let me first tell you a little bit about the flavor of borage. So borage tastes kind of like honeydew melon, cucumber, and honey. The way that I recommend to cultivate it is, for the best recipes are the baby leaves, especially as for an urban farmer, it's a lot easier. An indoor urban farmer, although they do grow great outdoors in the right climates, it's more of a Mediterranean kind of thing, warmer climate, not a frost plant. It's a delicate, almost like a lettuce, but it's a little furry. So anyways, the baby leaves are better for this sorbet recipe. The mature leaves, though much hardier, can be a little fibrous, though they could certainly still be juiced. One of the challenges of borage is that, like nettles, it isn't a nettle, but it can, as soon as it matures and it's no longer in the baby form, which is another reason why I recommend the baby form for growing and for this recipe, is for people who are really allergic. It can have a little bit of a sort of a, getting a rash, kind of a prickliness in touching it. Although if you pick it up with something else, like some pinchers, and just wash it, once it's become wet or cooked, it's not an issue. But anyways, so for the purist, well, yeah, I did describe the flavor. Okay. So, for the purist, for the finicky eater, you could juice it and make the sorbet that way. I personally prefer the more kind of California cuisine and healthier version, which is blending it, which again is only really works well if you're using the baby leaves. And a quick, easy way to make it is to just blend it in with your grocery store, a sorbet that's either a pear or a citrus or maybe an apple sorbet. It would go fine with those flavors. And there are other things that can be mixed with it, but I'm going to not go into variations today because if you've been listening to the videos that I'm making today, I'm just trying to give a little bit of an example of some of the different things solutions and stuff that I'm doing. So I'm going to add to that a lot of people use it in soup. It's high in omega-3s. That's how most people know of borage. It's a soothing, demulcent is sort of a more clinical term for soothing and hydrating plant, slightly cooling. And I personally prefer just putting it, in my water bottle or in my cup of water and not heating it or anything, just letting it sit very quickly. Has just such a wonderful ambrosia-like flavor, very light, but I think delicious. And also, I feel it's very therapeutic. And for those who didn't listen to my other videos relating to the culinary revolution, one of the reasons for introducing rare plants is it also then takes less pressure off things that are more in demand, so it helps the supply and demand problem. And especially since people are heavily buying therapeutic, herbs right now, and always looking for sort of superfood kinds of things. There you go. And now for my note to the altruist, outside the box, super pioneer team people, the people who want to be part of my that particular group. This won't make sense to anyone much, but I have these notes at the end of the solution. So it would be a tier 3. I might change it to a tier 2, but a tier 3 solution to make borage regularly available at grocery stores, or at least health food stores and stores that have the sort of rare kind of foods in each neighborhood. But in this case, for it to be part of one of the tiered solutions to requirement for being in the group, you would need to make it happen as part of helping an low-income urban gardener program, or maybe just simply an urban gardener program, because it does help the supply and demand problem still. I may edit this, but you get the gist of this one, and have an awesome day.